Dave is the chairman of M80, an internet marketing company in LA. And Dave told me beforehand that he graduated from Indiana University with a degree in business finance and became a financial analyst out of college and kind of got fed up with that job and got in his car and drove to LA. That was probably, what, 12 years ago or so?
15.
15 years ago.
Yeah, 1990.
And just decided to get into the music business. And because he was a business student and had a background in finance, he had kind of an open door to be a credit manager for SEMA, who was the distribution company for EMI at that time. They've changed that name now. But after being a credit manager for them, he went on to be an A&R administration person for Capital, which also involved some financial observations and work. And then he went to work for Madonna's label in '95, Maverick. And he can tell the story about what it's like to be working for a record company that has an artist that sells 28 million records, as Alanis Morissette did in '95. When was it, '95?
Yeah, 95.
Yeah. So in 1998, he started M80, and he's kept it going all this time. Currently, he's got 19 employees, and he's here to talk to you about internet marketing. So please welcome Dave Neupert. So Dave, tell us a bit how you got into internet marketing. I know you work for new media for some of these companies. How did that come about, and how did it lead you to where you are right now?
I initially started when I was at Maverick. I was overseeing A&R administration and production, product management, a number of roles. It was a small label, 7 people when I started in '95. So we needed a liaison between Maverick and Warner Brothers. 6 months into my job, I'd already been dabbling on the internet as a hobby on the side. I started that in like mid-'94, so really early on, just kind of experimenting what was out there, seeing communities. And while at Maverick, continued kind of watching some of the communities develop online for some of the artists that we had that were mostly underground artists that didn't have radio or video exposure, like the Deftones at the time was one of the main artists we had like that. Went to the head of the company and said, somebody should be watching this, it's a marketplace that's developing. And none of the labels really had a lot of new media initiatives going on yet, so there were some holes there that allowed us to kind of get in early and get some exposure for artists when nobody else was really hitting up some of the outlets. There was only 3 or 4 million people online at the time, but there was still visibility there. AOL had just started really kicking in, so it was about trying to set up promotions primarily at the time. The head of the label said, sure, go ahead. You're still doing your other job, but as long as it doesn't interfere with that, I won't give you any money for it, but figure it out. The head of the label didn't have a computer, by the way, so he had no idea what I was talking about. So he's like, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. If you bring back some results, we'll see where it can go from there. So I really started working with primarily the Deftones at the time. And what I saw, I was able to build a website for the Deftones. It was one of the first ones we actually built out. It was one of the first ones on the web, really, for an artist that was really a focused effort. And that was artists that had really strong street cred, great street presence, nothing on the radio, nothing on video. So it was really about trying to empower that fan base that was hanging out at the artist website, talking it up in the chat room and the bulletin boards, but not going anywhere else. So the idea was to say, all right, the 400 or 500 people that were at that website all the time, hanging out in the bulletin boards, go to other like-minded music communities and go to the Limp Bizkit sites, the other sites at the time that were like-minded music artists, lifestyle communities, whatever it may be, and talk up the band there. These were really enthusiastic fans. It was about the 1% of the audience that were fanatical about the band. They embraced it wholeheartedly. I gave them tools to do it. We'd create some digital assets to get passed around. It was really organic at the time, but it was about them going out, reporting back to me where they had gone, giving me links to sites that they had posted at. The key was to keep the word of mouth authentic and to really push the word of mouth from fan to fan, not from label to fan. It was like, we'll work with the real fans, but let's make an army of marketers out of these fans. It worked, and we started really gaining a lot of traction, getting a lot more traffic to the website from it. Started getting some attention in the label for what was going on there, and after about 6 to 8 months of doing that, the head of the label said, you know what, let's start doing this full time. So I was able to hire somebody else for A&R admin and production and bring in a couple other people on the intern level to help me out with the online stuff as well. So I really started to build out communities for all the artists that we had. One little artist we had that had come out in June of '95 was Lance Morissette. And that was one of the first that I worked as well, just to kind of build up the small fan base that was there just at the beginning. It grew pretty quick. By the end of '96, she had sold 20 million records worldwide. It went on to sell 28 million. But that, to be around that and watch that develop from the ground up and really watch the word of mouth on that record blow up was a pretty incredible experience. Over the course of 3 years at Maverick, I was able to do, probably over 100 different music online marketing campaigns. It went from just empowering fan bases of the grassroots fans to also doing a lot of online promotions at the high visibility websites. And by '98, you had some really substantial websites that were making a difference as far as promotional outlets go. You had Yahoo Music, you had Launch, AOL. There was other places that we could bring content to: video streams, audio streams, set up interviews, set up chats. Chats aren't real common anymore, but back then they were. Just any way to create exposure for the artist online in as many different outlets as possible. And also some of the mid-tier sites. You get a lot of more grassroots destinations that were, say, just a rock site that some kid in his garage had set up, but he might have 100,000 unique users a month. So I'd take them a Deftones promotion and give them, a couple CDs to give away, or get some signed photos, or whatever that might be. So it was combining the high visibility promotions with also combining the grassroots efforts. And the team of grassroots fans would go out and push the word of mouth about these promotions. So it kind of met in the middle of the way. 3 years into it, nobody was hitting me up on an outside level to provide services for me, coming in and basically trying to sell their service for me to hire out. I was one person in the department with a couple of interns. Most of the new media people at the other labels were also only one, maybe two people per label. And Maverick at the time had maybe 25 artists, but Warner Bros. Was our parent company. They had 120 artists. So the head of new media over there was a friend of mine, and he was totally overworked and had no way to do all the marketing for all the different artists that he wanted to do for it. So I was able to kind of look at the marketplace and say, you know what, there's a hole in the market here. There should be an outside service company providing these services to the labels. So I talked to a few of my friends that were at the labels. They said, absolutely, if you leave, we'll hire you. So I left. I set up M80 in November of '98, and A&M was my first client. I went from A&M to Warner Bros. As my second client, and Interscope, and it grew from there. My challenge was to try and create a line item in the marketing budgets at the time that didn't exist. Marketing budgets were pretty traditional as far as how they were cut down. You had non-traditional marketing like street marketing, you had your video budget, you had your radio promotion budget, you had your retail budget, you had your co-op advertising, all those things. But to actually get somebody to put money down in internet marketing when it really didn't have a tangible result necessarily as far as record sales go was a big challenge. Traditional publicity is the same kind of challenge. I mean, traditional offline publicity, you cannot really track tangible record results as far as sales go typically, but the exposure you're bringing to the artist hopefully is going to bring a lot more eyeballs to the artist, and that does add up to a significant piece of the puzzle as far as your marketing mix goes. About a year into it, after I had 4 or 5 major labels as clients, it became a real traditional piece of the marketing puzzle for a lot of the labels. So we were the first in the game to do that. The first service that we offered up was the grassroots marketing service, and that was really creating online teams. And those online teams of marketers, which was really, we call it fan empowerment. It was empowering the fans to go to work for the artist, to participate in the campaign, to want to be a part of it. And like I said before, about 1% of the fan base typically are those fanatics. You guys might be some of those. It's like the ones that really want to know everything about the artist, want to get as close as they can to the artist, want acknowledgement for the artist that they exist as one of their biggest fans, those types of things. We chose to really get the artist involved early on, because typically, especially for developing artists, the online audience these days is one of the first audiences to emerge for a developing artist. So it's get those fans involved, get the artist involved with those fans, doing video shout-outs, whatever it may be, just acknowledging their existence, and it grows from there. It's now been 7 years. We've done over about 1,000 campaigns. We've transitioned quite a bit into other entertainment verticals as well. We're doing a lot of home entertainment, just a lot of DVD marketing. Fox Home Entertainment's become our biggest client, actually. We're doing all the TV shows they've re-released on DVD, Buffy, X-Files, Simpsons, all those shows that come out. It's the same model. It's empowering fan bases of those hardcore shows, and also going to the high visibility websites and creating promotion opportunities for those as well. In the last 3 years of M80, we've developed a lot of proprietary tools that we needed. Really, we used to use Yahoo groups. I don't know back in the day if you remember that. Basically, e-groups, Yahoo groups. That's how we used to coordinate our team efforts. Well, a lot of advertising started really going into the Yahoo groups, pop-up windows and stuff, and it really kind of got in the way of our marketing efforts. So we decided about 3 years ago to build out a suite of tools that we could use to provide the same kind of visibility and organization and management tools for the fans, but also we control the advertising, we control the visibility, and we actually don't even put advertising through it. It's more of our own banners that we'll pump through on behalf of the other artists in the network. So those tools now are in use for about 40 campaigns a month, and it's everything from video games to music campaigns to home entertainment campaigns. So now what we've done is built this network of online team members from different entertainment verticals that we can kind of cross-pollinate for other marketing activities. So if there's a Buffy fan that wants to get involved in a Michelle Branch campaign or something, we're able to cross-pollinate that. We opt in all the team members that come and join teams to participate in future campaigns if they want to. So they're able to, we've got about 200,000 people in that database now, and a lot of them keep regurgitating through the system and want to participate in other campaigns. Some of them are like you. You guys are music business managers. They want to know more about marketing. So we've got kind of an upper echelon of those 200,000 people that are kind of online interns, really, and gone beyond just being enthusiastic fans. So I think that's really kind of grown to a whole nother level for us, where we've actually taken, we call it the M80 All-Stars, and we've taken about 100 people out of that 200,000 and really empowered them to do campaigns for a lot of consumer brands. We just did a campaign for Honda. We're doing some work for Mazda coming up, Kiehl's, the skincare products. We're doing a number of things now that it's really about grassroots marketing is kind of a buzzword right now, word-of-mouth marketing among consumer brands. Non-traditional marketing in general has transitioned out of just being an entertainment-based type of tool to some of the consumer brands that are a lot more recognizable that you guys would know. Money's being taken away from print, TV. Internet marketing is definitely a hot topic right now, and so we're kind of balancing that out. Music's still my love. Music's what I got into, and I don't want to leave that. Problem with the music business today, as you guys know, it's had some problems in the last couple of years. Free music is everywhere, and I'm sure some of you are participated in that free music bonanza. But right now, the industry is going through some trouble. So you have a lot of layoffs. Budgets are being cut for marketing reasons. So the budgets that we had in 2000, 2001 just aren't there anymore. And quite frankly, we deliver a lot more now that we've built out our tools, because we can come back with ROI and show real metrics attached to word-of-mouth marketing. And it's hard to go back now to the labels. They get it. They see that we're delivering a lot more value, but they don't have the money to spend anymore. So they've taken a lot of it in-house or cut out of a lot of it in general. So what I see going forward right now is an opportunity for the independent music world to really kind of rise to the surface a little bit. So what we've done recently in the last 6 months is taken the suite of tools that we have and built out a licensing situation for independent labels and independent artists. And it allows them to do their own fan management and allows them to empower their fan base and run their own contests within their own fans and track the demographic information amongst their fans and be able to do email blasts to their fans in a very protected community that's password protected and only about inviting in the hardcore fans. And we're just starting to roll that out. We've already had about 10 people sign on and a couple small labels sign on, and actually a couple major labels too that don't want to put down the amount of money anymore for marketing on a per project basis. Like Capitol Records just licensed our system, so they're now licensing the system like on a yearly basis that they can use it, and they have interns in-house now run their teams using our system. So it's transitioning out for us. It's our way of staying in the music business without having to lose money on behalf of their campaigns, which is what the case would be if we charge them our normal fees compared to what we used to do. So it's kind of it in a nutshell as to where we are today.